I'm Ixchel Ruiz, and we are at JFocus, and I'm talking to one of my favorite speakers and human beings ever, Gerrit Grunwald. So, Gerrit,
Hey, it's good to see you.
it's great to see you again at an in-person conference.
Yes.
I was missing this
Oh yes,
a
so much.
lot.
Yes.
And having the opportunity to sit down and talk about the latest projects,
Yeah.
it is a chance that I really missed.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I didn't realize how much I miss it since I first meet people again. And it was like, wow, that was the thing I was missing.
It was missing from our lives. Yes, totally true. So, I know that you had 2 sessions
Yes,
at
two
this
sessions and a workshop and a quickie.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, busy.
Busy, busy, busy. But I do have a particular interest.
Oh, okay.
I know that you know about the Disco API.
That is correct.
And because we are all about testing, well, at least one of my personal interests is testing. So whenever we are delivering a new application, we have to test it in as many different Java versions and as many different distributions as we can if we're thinking about moving into different distributions or
Yeah.
versions. I mean, I hope people are thinking about that. But tell me about it.
Yeah, the idea was when I joined Azul, then Gil approached me and said, "Well, what do you think about an API that has all the distributions, right? Just a plain level field. So just that everybody has the chance to get everything at one place."
Single source of truth.
Exactly.
What a
So I thought-
revolutionary
I
concept.
thought, well, this is a good idea. So I started with the stuff that I knew at that point, which was just Zulu and OpenJDK and OpenJDK and all these kind of things. And then I started with just the basics. And it took me a year to get all these things. And there are so many distributions out there that you never heard of, I bet. So like I mentioned that in the talk, it's like Tencent Kona. You know that?
No.
No, never heard of, right? They are specialized in JDKs for ARM architecture.
Oh, okay.
So embedded stuff. And then there's Bisheng, which is from, I think, Huawei, another distribution that I never heard of before. They also use that, I think, for their mobile builds. So it's interesting how many different distributions you find in the field. And that means if there are these distributions, there are people who use that stuff. So
Of
they need
course.
to download it somewhere. So what do you use? Usually you either use SDK Man
Yes.
or you use the vendor website.
Yes.
Some of them have an API you can use, but what about having a system like you described where you need to test a program against different versions of different distributions? This is a hassle because some you can get by download on the website, others have an API. So it really makes sense to have one point where you can just ask one set of parameters and you get back what you need.
And the same question every single time. So thank you very much for that. You make the lives of developers easier with that.
It's interesting that interestingly, it's hard to reach out to the right people to make this stuff publicly so that they know about it, right? Because the standard developer usually really doesn't need it. So that's my impression, because when I tell about that, they say, yeah, I download that. We have it in our local repository. Okay. But everybody who's working with CI/CD systems, like deployment
DevOps.
engineers, DevOps, right? These people are like, oh, this is great, this is so awesome. But these are usually not the people that attend Java conferences in the Java session. So this is sometimes hard to get this, spread the word to the right people.
But you know, when things go wrong, with this idea of shift left, getting more the developers accountable for what they are building, at some point, even if
Yeah.
you are like a back-end developer that doesn't need to go into ops, you're still going to get the call and say,
Yes.
hey,
It's true. I mean, I think people just need to be aware of that stuff. Like you said, right? There is this shift into ops, and it's important. And it's important to let people know that there are solutions for their problems, right? So they need to know that. And we try to spread the word, not really aggressively, but it's interesting when you see like I mentioned that in my session, like SDK man approached me and said, we need this API. So they use Disco API to update their JDK version. So that means if you load something from SDK man, they get the links from us. So which is great. So it just shows that there is a need for that.
Exactly.
And people use it. So nobody needs to know that it's coming from Disco, but for us, it's good to see that it was the right decision to do that, right? So give the people one source where they can just get all the stuff that is available, and we try to make it available.
I mean, what you're describing makes total sense for me. It's single source of truth, a standardized information. So what kind of questions can I ask, or what kind of information can I receive by using your API?
Yeah, so what we did is we just keep the vendors out of the game. So that means you can't really ask for something, give me the IBM JDK, because we don't know the IBM JDK. We just know it's Samaru. That's the name of the distribution. We know it's Tamarin, which is the name of the Adaptium distribution. Give me Zulu, or give me Corretto, right? So this is usually the stuff that the developers know. You can ask for stuff like, which is the latest available version of all JDKs. So that means if you ask that, you will get something like 1801 or 1801.1, so something like that. If you say, give me the latest LTS release, which is 17, and it's 1703, and you can ask for that stuff, then you can ask for which distribution supports 1701 on Mac with ARM64 as a TAR-GZ, bundled with JavaFX, for example. So you can ask that, and then you will give a list with the stuff that is available. So it's lots of things you can ask the API, and it really depends on how smart you combine the parameters, because it's more or less, it's one important endpoint, which is just /packages. And then you can ask all the different parameters, and from that you can figure out what you need.
Perfect. Where can we find it?
You will find it if you go to the fuje.io page, and I think there's a topic called Disco. At least there's a blog post about Disco API. And on GitHub, there's also github.com/fuje.io and then Disco API. The API itself is open source. We just have a separate version because it's running on our AWS cluster somewhere at Azure, and it's managed by our IT guys. Lucky me, because I don't have to take care about that. And but the source of all the scraping that I do, it's not only calling APIs. I call websites and scrape the text out of it, and then from the text I get all the information that I need. Or I have APIs that I call. I have GitHub release notes that I check, and we try to standardize all that. So, for example, I mentioned that to someone else. There are builds where they have mixed the update and the patch version in the version numbering. I don't know why, and so we just clean that, right? So if you ask for let's say 11.0.13.1 or something, then you will get that, even if the name of the file has the switch. So we correct that for the API. So it should be streamlined, and it should work for everything. And if not, just let me know.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. I think you are making the life of DevOps engineers, and at least bringing more information to developers.
Oh, I tried to also. I created plugins for all the IDEs out there, for the browsers. So there's little plugins where you can just open it and select the major version, let's say 18. Then it will give you all the available versions of 18, like 1801, 1802. Then if you select 1801, it will give you all the distributions that have it. Then you can select the distribution. Then it gives you all the operating system, then all the architecture.
Perfect.
So you can drill down, even as a developer, you can make use of the API without knowing it, right? It's just plugins that you can install in your browser. You can just click on it, download, done. So you don't have to really, because I don't like going to all these websites and searching where's the build that I need, and I hate that. So it's
After
really
3 more clicks, you get another page that says that redirect.
Yeah, I also built a command line tool for that, and so that you can use this. It's just one binary for all the different architectures, and you can just use it in your in your script files to download something. And this, again, you can use in CI/CD systems. And there's different tools that make use of the API in the background. So to make it easy for developers and also to make it easy for DevOps people. So we try to cover them all.
Oh, no. Well, thank you. Thank you very much
Oh,
for that, too.
It's my pleasure. It's my baby.
Yes, and it sounds like you invested a lot of time. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, I hope to see you here next year.
I hope so too.
Or in another conference.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Gerrit.
Thanks for having me.